Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery in our video studio today. Wanted to tell you about the brand new BridgeLock UV Slider. So Mathews bows, the 2025 bows have just been launched, and along with that, we're introducing folks to the BridgeLock UV Slider. So what that refers to is that this sight is intended for those Mathews BridgeLock bows. Currently, Mathews is the only one that employs the BridgeLock, and as you know, that means this bar here, instead of mounting to a bracket on the outside of the bow, it slides into a cutout in the middle of the riser. And so this sight was designed, obviously it's Mathews branded. Hey, you're gonna buy the Mathews bow, you wanna fly the Mathews colors as much as you can. So this is a UV slider, new and improved UV slider. If you know that sight, if you're familiar with, came out last year, a year ago, 2 years ago. Within the last 2 years, the UV slider came out, and this is a new and improved version of it. As you can notice here in the scope, this is a new setup there. So we're going to run through how this sight functions and what's new on it. As we mentioned, you're going to have the aluminum bar here that you've got your single detent, the screw that is in the riser. They come with the Mathews bows. That's what's going to hold this in place. You do get one in the pack as well with the sight in case you lose that one. That's where you're going to mount it, and it's going to sit right in that detent in the riser. Now, first, second, and third axis adjustment. So right here, you're going to see this screw, and you're going to see it says first and second. So what UV has done is they've basically eliminated what we used to call the second axis adjustment. In other words, that was where you manipulated the scope this way, independent of the vertical bar. Well, now the way UV mounts their scope to the vertical bar, they're saying that's always going to be at a 90-degree angle, so you don't have to mess with that. That you can just do the one adjustment here, first and second axis, and you're going to affect both the bar and the scope. They're going to be aligned properly. So what's happening is, you can see this bolt right in here. This bolt is in a slot. It's not a round hole, it's in a slot. So you're gonna loosen that, you're gonna come around here, and you're going to drive that screw in or out. And what that's gonna do with this bolt here is it's going to pitch the sight one way or the other. And then once you have it where you want it, you're gonna lock it down and you'll be good to go. Now, your third axis adjustment is right here. Of course, third axis, what that does is it levels your scope this way. And so this is a familiar position we've seen with third axis adjustment. What that's doing is it's pitching this bar. This whole bar here is going to pivot this way. You can see this notch right here, and then there's a little line. That's your third axis indicator as to whether you need to go right or left of that line to get this level. So real simple adjustments, and they are micro adjustments, which is nice. Now, what hasn't changed on the slider, of course, is this mechanism right here. This is what everybody loves about the slider. They have really turned this into an ergonomic wheel system here, to where this is where you grab it, your lock is right there, flip that up, bam, up and down. Real nice. Once you get it to where you want it, close it up, good to go. And so the UV slider is designed that you can overpower the lock, but it's that it won't move. And the reason they did that is, in case you're in the heat of the moment and you just forget to flip that, they want you to give you the ability to still be able to adjust your sight, so that, if you're already there, here comes that big elk, you can still make your adjustments as you need to. Incidentally, I should mention here that I have the 5-pin version, 5-pin horizontal version here. There is also a 3-pin horizontal version and a 3-pin vertical version. In other words, your pins are stacked vertically as opposed to these are the horizontal. Back to the wheel here. Here is our windage. This is what Ultraview came out with. They call the dual dial system. You got your elevation right here with this big wheel. Incidentally, you know, you can see this kind of traction on there. This is a rubber material on the outside, so you can get a good grip on it. But inside here, this is going to be our windage. So we're going to pop that out, and then I make my adjustments. The scope is going in and out. They've got a real nice click system here. I really like that click. It's very positive. There's not a lot of slop in it. It's a real clean, crisp click system. So you're going to be able to make precise movements with your windage with that knob, the dual dial. So that's really nice. I really like their windage there. Now let's go around to the scope, because this is new. So Ultraview heard a lot of you folks out there, myself included, who couldn't really see the pins too well in the UV slider. So they have made an improvement. And you can see this is like a smoke. This is clear plastic, but it's got like a smoke finish to it. And I don't know if you can see the fibers are inside there, but the fibers go all the way around. So with that smoke on there, it allows it to gather light, but it doesn't make them crazy bright. I had this out in the sunlight, and it was a decent amount that these pins glowed without getting the starburst. So that's what I wanted to see outside, was, are these things going to be like, you know, crazy bright? They're bright. They're brighter than the original UV slider, I can promise you, because I could not see those pins very well. So that's an improvement they made there. And then the light here is rechargeable. So we have a push button here to turn the light on, and when I turn it on, it's going to be at the brightest setting. And then another click makes it a little dimmer. Another click makes it a little dimmer yet. A little dimmer. If I want to turn it off, I'm going to hold it down, and then it will go off. And as I mentioned, this is a rechargeable light. So here's how you're going to do that. And it does take some effort, I will tell you. It took me a while to figure this out, because I thought, I don't think this is coming off. But it does take some force. There it goes. And on the back here, this is going to be your charge port right there. And it looks like it is USB Type-C. That's kind of what we're going to now, the USB Type-C charger. You do get a cord in here. You're going to have a standard USB to go into the plug, USB Type-C plug to go into the light here, and that will recharge it. So no more batteries, which is nice. When you're done charging, recharging, plug that back in, and then it goes back in a little easier than it comes out once you get it lined up. Then the white ring here. So if you are hunting in a state that doesn't allow you to have any electronics, I think Colorado is one of those states, can't have anything electronic on your site, you can pop the light out, take that ring out, and then you can see this is going to be, you can see that indent there. That's going to sit where your light goes. That'll be your replacement so that you do not have an electronic sight anymore. So that comes in the box with the sight. Okay, now let's talk about sight tapes before we get to sighting in. So actually, before we even get to that, here is a new update that I really like as well. You're going to see right here this device, and you can see it's slotted. So what that is your vertical stop, and it's adjustable. So you can get it to where you need it. You can see the bar coming up, contacting the stop, and you can see all these holes here. And again, it's slotted, so you can dial in exactly where that vertical stop goes. You know, with a 5-pin sight like this, I'm going to want this to come up, and then I want my top pin to be at 20 yards. That way, no matter where I am, I know if I bring this back and slam it home, I know everything is set and my top pin is back at 20 yards. And you never know where that's going to be. You know, it depends on peep height, arrow weight, all kinds of things are going to dictate where you need to have your 20-yard pin. So the fact that you can move the vertical stop to where you need it to be so that it's where your pins are set, you know, to where your top pin is wherever you want it to be. 20 yards for me, maybe you have a different setting, but you can move that stop anywhere you need to so that you can just slam that thing home without even thinking about it, lock it down, and you're good to go. So that is a great innovation there. I love that. And then down here, you are going to have your single indicator for your sight tape that you put on there. Now, something else that's cool. You can see, so this is actually a blank tape right here. I don't know if you can see this slot. There is a metal, I'll say it's a sight tape holder actually. This is what you're going to stick your sight tape to. And you can see these slots here. What that allows me to do is loosen these, and then I can pitch that sight tape wherever I need to be. You know, if I'm just off, if I just can't get things lined up perfectly, I can move that up and down because it's in those slots there. So that's very helpful as well. And then of course you can move your indicator. You've got that whole rail in there that you can move that up and down. With the sight tapes in the pack, you are going to get 40 of them. And what you're seeing here is you've got right-hand sight tapes and left-hand. So every pack, whether it's a right-hand or left-handed sight, every pack has right-handed and left-handed. And of course they are speed-oriented. And so it looks like number 1 sight tape, that one's going to go out to 130 yards. And then number 40 is going to go out to about 85, 86, 87. Looks like 88 yards for your number 40. Obviously, that's going to be the slowest speeds. And then what you're going to get are tapes here that you're going to use for setup. Okay, now for choosing a sight tape for your BridgeLock UV Slider, what we're going to do is we're going to go to one of these 3. These are your 3 setup tapes. I'm going to take one of those and I'm going to mount it to my metal sight tape right here. Okay, now what I want to do is this is the 5-pin sight. I want to use my middle pin, which is my 3rd pin down on this sight. That's my fixed position pin. That's the one I want to use to shoot to get my sight tape. So I'm going to have to move this up and down wherever I need to so that that pin is hitting at 20 yards. I want to be able to use it, have my arrow hit what I'm aiming at 20 yards. And when I get that, when I get everything set up, then I'm going to move this green indicator to this line on my sight tape. That's your starting point. So I've got my scope set, so my center pin hits at 20 yards. I move my green indicator to match that line. So now, as I back up, the most important distance is 60 yards. And so what you're going to see is on this side here, you're going to see it goes out to number 40. 40 is my bottom number down there. That corresponds to the 40 sight tapes. So as I move down, you know, when I'm sighting in, you know, for me, I'm going to go 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 to get to 60. Obviously, that makes sure that I'm hitting the target. If you go right from 20 to 60, man, you're kind of guessing where that 60 is. I don't like guessing. So I'm going to do gradual until I get out to 60. And then wherever my green indicator is, it's going to be somewhere within this distance, somewhere within one of these lines. I'm just going to mark down whatever line it is closest to. Now, this goes to 40, but there are not 40 lines there. For instance, 30 and 35 are only 2 lines apart. But somewhere in there, there's 31, 32, 33, 34. There are 4 lines that are in there. And those numbers correspond to your sight tape. So let's say I'm close to 35, but I'm not quite at 35. So I probably want to check out sight tapes numbered 33 and 34. 33 there and 34 here. I'm probably going to want to play with these two sight tapes, attach them on there and see which one is going to work out. That's how I'm going to figure out which sight tape that I'm going to use. But regardless of that, how we're going to set our pins, this is a unique system that Ultraview has that I really like. So let's say I'm working with sight tape number 34 right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to this screw. I'm going to loosen that, and then I'm going to take this cartridge out. Pretty neat. Now, 5-pin sight, again, my pins are going to be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So I'm going to want to set this on top of my sight tapes. I'll turn them around for me. I want to set that, and my middle pin, remember, that's my fixed position pin. That's the one that doesn't move. The other 4, I have screws on the back so I can move them up and down. So that middle pin's the important one, and for me, that's 40 yards. I'm going to set that right on top of 40, and then I can move individually each of these up until they match 20 and 30, and then 50 and 60. So now I'm at least close. You know, we're not saying that that's definitive. It may be. You need to shoot it to verify it. But that's going to get my pins real close. And then as I'm shooting more and more, I can fine tune those positions. If I see that 34 isn't exactly right, maybe I need to go down to number 33. I can switch that one out. That's what you're going to do in the sight-in process to make sure that you're using the right sight tape. All right, so that is the BridgeLock Ultraview Slider sight. Great new sight from the folks at Ultraview in conjunction with Mathews for their new 2025 BridgeLock bows. Now, actually, you know, this is going to fit any of the Mathews BridgeLock series bows, which goes back at least 2 years, I believe. Not sure, 3. But any of the Mathews bows that have the BridgeLock cutout in the riser, you're going to be able to use this sight with. And again, as I mentioned, this is the 5-pin horizontal. There's 3-pin horizontal and 3-pin vertical. So you've got some options there, whichever you prefer. So if you want to see the different versions of the BridgeLock UV Slider, be sure to click the link in the description below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. As always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.